Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. My name's Blake Cousins, and we're breaking live events right here in regards to what happened in 1947, Roswell, New Mexico. Apparently, it wasn't just one silvery disc UFO crash over there in the desert. There were three recovered, approximately 50 feet wide in diameter, three bodies of human shape, only 3 feet tall, dressed in metallic cloth or very fine texture. This is breaking news. Everybody thought it was just one crashed flying saucer. Now it turns out there's three. The FBI just released this, 2 years ago on their website called The Vault. But, things have been changing, and we got Dr. J. Andy Elias to chime in on what he thinks about this breaking news. Thanks for joining us, Dr. J. Andy Elias.
Thank you, Blake.
All right, so what do you think about what's going on, in Roswell, New Mexico? Do you think now they have three flying saucers in their possession, and apparently three bodies in each craft were recovered?
Blake, I gotta say, this is one hell of a story. The fact that this came straight from the FBI files written to J. Edgar Hoover. This file was amongst files about Al Capone, Marilyn Monroe, Notorious B.I.G., and the 9/11 hijackers. And this apparently, it was out 2 years ago, but now it hits the stories again. And this fits with what people say. First, it was one crash. Then Stanton Friedman uncovered that there was two crash sites. That's what he started to say, there was two. Recently, MUFON investigators, including Preston Dennett, have come to say that there have actually been three. Sources and witnesses say that there were three, and what happened was that they were being taken down by U.S. military radar. This fits perfectly with what's been going said, and Blake, I wouldn't be surprised if this disclosure happened right now.
Well, the FBI, they hint that this suggestion of flying saucers and the alien story was some kind of hoax that was circulated in 1950, and the FBI goes on and saying, sorry, no smoking gun or UFOs, they remain a mystery. It doesn't sound like they're coming out with anything, but nonetheless, they still put out this document. I wonder why.
In the 50s, supposedly Eisenhower said we weren't quite ready, us meaning the people weren't quite ready to know of alien presence, and they implemented this plan of desensitizing the public with an onslaught of media, movies, and everything to do with extraterrestrials. If you've noticed, 20 years ago when there was a documentary, there was a skeptic on for every minute someone spoke about UFOs. Nowadays, there's actually documentaries with no skeptics, which means the public opinion is changing, and maybe this is why the FBI decided that it's time for us to actually start reading the more secret documents that were once classified to the highest level.
The cross-dresser in charge of the FBI at that time, J. Edgar Hoover, was in charge for many years. They've changed the law now that you could only be in power so long in the FBI, but this guy ruled it for, I don't know, how long would you say, John? 20 years or so?
At least. He was the father of it, and I think he died in, the 70s, 80s? I think it was more than 3 decades.
Well, 3 decades in power, getting all the information. He knew it all. And didn't he have secret meetings with the president about, releasing or what was really found in Roswell?
You are absolutely correct, Blake, but there's also another document that was signed by Edgar Hoover that was expressing his frustration that he was denied to information about Roswell in 47, 48, 49. This document here is dated 1950, which very well could be that he was kept out of the loop, but because of his connections, he knew something. And I think that's what makes it so much more amazing.
Exactly. And the detailed descriptions of what these things were, 50 feet in diameter, metallic objects, and the bodies were only 3 feet tall, and they were dressed in some kind of fine metallic clothing. Like, they have this detailed information, it's getting out, and then they still claim nothing's happening. Where did they get these, descriptions from?
And Blake, this actually fits with exactly what the Roswell witnesses who have come forward in the last 65 years have actually been saying. It actually says, too, that there were 3 occupants per craft for a total of 9. And they were dressed, just like you said, in a metallic cloth of very fine texture, just like we would use for test pilots and test speed flyers. That's what is the details. The detail is it. The devil's in the details is a famous saying. And the more detailed this is that corroborates people's story is what makes it so true.
And we got to really thank U.S. optical physicist Bruce Maccabee for getting this information out in 1977 through the Freedom of Information Act. Wow, what a powerful tool. We're trying to get disclosure from the White House, and they raised the bar 100,000 signatures to get any kind of response from the White House. How ridiculous is this?
It is, and it happened 4 days after the last disclosure petition went up. So obviously someone was paying attention and was worried that a certain number would be hit. Otherwise, they would have left the number at 25,000.
25,000 signatures was hard enough as it is. And yeah, we put out the memo, we put out the word on Third Phase, sign it, get it out. And like you just said, 4 days later, the White House responds to Third Phase of Moon and its, attempt at getting the signatures required to get a little information from President Obama himself. What about Obama? We want to get the answers to our questions. Do you think he knows anything about Roswell? Most people say he's pretty much out of the loop in regards to extraterrestrial life.
Well, there's two sides to the story. I heard that he knows a little bit about something. He was supposed to be the disclosure president, but if he was, why is he in his second term without saying anything? On the other hand, what they say was that Kennedy was the last president to be in the know, and supposedly that had to do with why he was assassinated. The next president to know anything was George Bush Sr. and Jr., only because he was the head of the CIA. And I think that's why he knew what he did with regards to UFOs. But I think you're correct, and other people are correct, that the president is kept out of the loop. But let me add something important, Blake. There's a citizens hearing coming up next month, April 26th, at National Press Club in Washington, D.C. Former members of Congress are going to hear testimonies from former military brass, former FAA, retired CIA, and other intelligence department people, whistleblowers. There's going to be a quasi-congressional hearing on this matter, and I'm wondering if this is starting to be leaked out and pushed in the media now, so when that comes next month, that maybe things will start to get the ball rolling to finally have disclosure happen.
It is possible because this memo was released part of the vault files 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden the FBI decides to focus its attention on it again this week. What is the reason? We have no idea, but we're going to be following this story right here at Third Phase of Moon. Dr. Andy Elias, any last words on what do you think the FBI is up to, and what about disclosure? Is it going to happen? Is Third Phase of Moon on the right track to get the word out?
I think Third Phase of Moon is doing a hell of a job by putting the word out there, showing the footage to the people that everyone submits. It's getting global coverage, and we got to ask ourselves the question that you just stated. Why did they just re-release this document? It's been there for 2 years. Why did they pick it up right now? What is happening now that is so important to put this back out there when they could have done it any time in the last 104 weeks? And that, I think, is what leads to an amazing answer, and that's what we're all going to cross our fingers for to make disclosure happen. Thanks again, Blake.
Hey, thank you, Dr. J. Andy Elias, and we're keeping our ears to the ground. This alleged Air Force investigator who reported that there were 3 flying saucers recovered from New Mexico. We think this is breaking news story. We're going to keep everybody updated. And if anybody out there has captured anything amazing in regards to UFOs, you could contact us via Skype or Facebook. Third Phase of Moon. My name's Blake Cousins, and we'll see you again next time.